Hi, I'm Rich Sands. In 1974, I was a student teaching a 12th grade American government class. And just before the holiday break, my class, knowing my rather odd liking for ties, bought me this one. I told them I'd wear it every year and think of them every time I did. This tie, and that class, began my tradition of holiday ties. I wore them the next 15 years, teaching high schoolers, and occasionally adding to the collection. When I became a realtor in 1992, I made it a point to be appropriately tie-attired for the company party and for any December closings. In December of 2000, everything changed. I became the education director at Coldwell Banker and had the opportunity to wear a tie every day between Thanksgiving and New Year's. My collection grew, and I confess, most of them were Christmas ties. Snowmen, reindeer, decorated trees, mostly Santa. Nothing overly offensive. After all, the market for nativity scene signs probably isn't that big. And like anything, my ties were not without controversy. In fact, last week, 3 people told me they were offended by them. For them, I have this tie. But maybe this is actually a little too classy. And how could you not like Santa, whether you're into Christmas or not? I mean, a jolly guy who gives you stuff? What not to like? When my tenure as education director came to an end 3 years ago, so did my outlet for what had become a considerable tie collection. I really had nowhere to wear them unless I was teaching, attending a party, or some other really classy event. I mean, I could wear them out running, but it looked kind of funny. This year, however, I've had an occasion or two to get out and teach, and in fact, fairly often this month, and my tie collection has really appreciated that. Unfortunately, though, not quite enough gigs to meet my sartorial tie demand. And wearing a tie to bed? I don't know, kind of dangerous. Hence this video, tying down the holidays. And while I love getting festive this time of year, I also get very thankful. Frankly, much of 2011, not so good. In fact, to call the first 3 quarters of the year slow would be an insult to turtles everywhere. Fortunately and thankfully, my year turned around in the 4th quarter with a flurry of courses and a whole bunch booked ahead for 2012. I guess you could kind of say I Tim Tebow'd the 4th quarter, if you'd actually want to say something like that. Now on the good side, I met some significant personal goals this year. I ran my first marathon in over a decade, logged over 2,700 miles while not missing a single day, and lost 32 pounds. Not too bad. Got about another 30 to go before I'll really be where I want to be. So as this interesting year comes to a close, I'd like to take the time to thank you for being part of my life and sort of tie down this year. First, I want to thank my wife Linda, who someone was not only my biggest fan and support system, but the person who really was with me through some pretty rough patches in the last year. A big shout out to my sons, Matt and Ryan, and my stepdaughter Alicia. I also want to send a special thanks to the education directors, chapter honchos, and company bigwigs who had the faith in me to allow me to teach their people this year. I'd like to also thank my Facebook friends, Twitter followers, LinkedIn connections, Google Plus homies, and everybody else for reading some of my rants, but mostly for being supportive through this year. Mostly, as a teacher, I want to thank my students. While it's true that if a teacher taught in the woods and there was no one around to hear him, they'd keep going anyway, I think it's a lot better to have a group, whether it's 3, 300, or 3,000. I appreciate your presence in class, your attention, and your feedback. In fact, I consider myself so fortunate to get to do what I do, and I love every minute of it. And I had a student come up to me after class last month, and he said this. He said, "You know, I love your courses so much." And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, you're just a pretty smart, really nice guy who loves to teach." And I thought, yeah, I like that. So thank you, and thank you all. In the spirit of the season, I'd like to wish you happiness and a lot of happy. Happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy or Merry Christmas, and a very happy and prosperous New Year. Tying it down, baby.